I kind of got into a little bit of trouble when I was younger. I just had a lot of energy.
Asia Hogan started playing rugby only a year and a half ago, but has already made her mark on the field.
All of a sudden, the trajectory of my career for the next year looked so different. Who knew it could happen? But we did, but we just had to work for it.
Hogan-Rochester over on the far side there. Steps through.
I like wearing glitter. It's just kind of just about like expressing yourself on the field and like having a flair to how you play.
For the Canadian women's team, it's their first time back playing on home soil since capturing a silver medal at the Olympics in Paris this summer.
If you can see the positive difference that you're making in the world, that will always outweigh anything or anybody who isn't with those notions.
Hey everyone, Jamie here. Welcome to Flame Bearers Unedited, a brand new series bringing to you largely unedited conversations. We heard you loud and clear. You want to hear more stories of more elite women athletes from around the world. So we're going to deliver. In Unedited, we're going to bring you completely unfiltered conversation. We hit start, we have our conversation, we hit end. What we're going to see, though, is slightly different because we're not going to have all the traditional bells and whistles that you're used to in Flame Bearers production. So let's jump in.
So my name is Asia Hogan-Rochester. I am a Toronto born and raised native, and I now represent the women's rugby sevens team for Team Canada, and am coming off the back of an Olympic silver medal win for the country as well.
Let's go. Asia, talk to us about how you got into rugby, because if I read correctly, it was later. You were 17, is that right?
Yeah. So I didn't really grow up playing sports, really. I did track and field, kind of like any other kid. Like, it's like a free token to get out of class for like 2 full days. Like, and I'm fast, like definitely I'm signing up. But I didn't really do it outside of school. When I went to gym class, I'd be in jeans. I'd be hanging out with the gals, you know, chatting. Maybe I'll play some volleyball kind of thing, but I never really saw myself as an athlete. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I didn't really see a lot of people come from my community that looked like me. Yeah, I just never saw myself in those spaces. I kind of got into a little bit of trouble when I was younger. I just had a lot of energy. The teacher would have to move my desk around a lot. That was my sport, was yapping. I was a yapaholic in grade school. So I just had a lot of energy though, and I didn't always know where to put it. But my now teammate, Charity Williams, she also went to my high school. And one day she came back off the back of the Rio Olympics with this cool bronze medal. And there was an assembly. Gotta go to those because, again, free trip to get out of class. That's kind of where my head was at. And went to this assembly, and Charity was there, and she was like, hey guys, like, I've been in your shoes, and like I was still able to put my head to something, and something that I loved, and this is what came from it. And I was also best friends with her younger sister, still am, and like she was like, you've got to try rugby, you've got to try rugby. For the first time, I saw myself in someone that was an athlete and successful and from the same community as me and cared about where I went and where my classmates went after that. So I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll sign up. I'll do a little extracurricular. So I was around 17 years old, and I just loved it ever since that first practice. I kept going back, and as many opportunities I could get to play rugby, I started doing that.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned it in different ways, was you didn't see people from your community being represented in sports until Charity. So what is the community that you come from, and how do you hope to change or be a part of changing that representation for young girls and boys and individuals in your community today?
I represent a couple different communities, like all of us. I am a Black person. I am a gender fluid person. I use she, they pronouns. I'm from the inner city of Toronto. Didn't always grow up having the money to pay for extracurriculars, so sports being included in that. there's so many intersections that come along with those things. And for me, when you put all those things together, sometimes it can amount to not as much access to different, again, like extracurriculars.
Totally.
And opportunities and seeing people that look like you and sound like you, etc.
I absolutely love it. And a big part of what we try to do is to elevate lots of different role models. I see you as an incredible role model and leader within sports. So what is the type of message that you would want to convey for people from those different communities that you're a part of?
I would hope to show people from those communities, in summary, like, you can do it too. It's not for other people. If you're playing sports, if you're somebody who plays on women's teams, and you see me doing what I'm doing and you want to do it too, like, you can. Don't wait to be confident. Don't wait to put yourself out there. Even, like, don't wait to see somebody who looks like you to do it. You do it and be that person for somebody else.
That is such incredible advice, and I wish I had that advice when I was younger too. Asia, I know that injury has been a part of your journey too, with your shoulder and your ACL. So if you're comfortable sharing, would love to hear about what that has looked like for you.
In August of 2022, at this time I had been on the team for about 3 years, and it was my first year being consistently, like, named to rosters, and things were kind of picking up for me. I want to say, like, 3 weeks before the World Cup for sevens. It was just like any other, like, normal practice day. Just walked out onto the field with my teammates, and I ended up tearing my ACL on that day. And all of a sudden, the trajectory of my career for the next year looked so different. By the time I was going to be finished that rehab, I would be entering into our Olympic season. And as somebody who kind of just started getting their name onto rosters, it was a bit frightening because I wasn't sure if I would still have a place on the team. And it was really scary just having to make kind of like adult decisions, like, where am I going to get surgery? Am I going to be motivated to do the rehab that I need to do? How am I going to keep my mental on track? And it kind of just, like, forced me to grow up, like, as a person as well. And so that was in August of 2023, and it was about a 10-month rehab. And I'd say the toughest part was definitely, like, the mental aspect, not so much the physical.
What advice would you give to people who are maybe early on in that process? They walked out to practice, it was a regular day, and that moment happened for them. Now that you've gone through that and have come out the other side, what would you want to tell them?
If you have access to any mental health resources, be proactive about setting them up for yourself, because there will be tough days that come, and it's really hard to reach out for help when you're in the thick of it. And I wish I did that earlier. I ended up getting into counseling about, like, 8 months into my rehab when I was able to take it on and have the capacity to start that process, but I wish I started it earlier. So yeah, if you're in your earlier stages or wherever you are in your journey, get into counseling, figure out, like, what your options are in terms of just taking care of your mental health and making sure it's accessible for you on tough days as well. And then a second thing, I just want to say, like, as athletes, we can be really tough on ourselves if we're not as active as maybe we once were when we were healthy and not injured. So I felt a lot of, like, guilt, like, all I can do is, like, a calf raise, or all I can do is, like, single leg glute bridges all day. And it's like, just have some grace with yourself. And if you're lacking the motivation to even stay on top of your rehab every single day, consistency doesn't have to be 100% every single day. It's really just what you're able to give each day. And by the end of your rehab, like, you'll still be okay with that amount of, like, consistency. Yeah, so by the end of my rehab, the first tournament that I was selected for was the first tournament that I was available to be selected for, if that makes sense. So that was kind of like a testimony to, like, all of the trials and tribulations. I was really proud of myself for being able to put my hand up for selection and then end up being selected. And it was for our Olympic qualifier regional tournament. So we ended up playing that at home in Langford, BC, where our team trains out of. And so that was sort of the first step to Paris, was just getting back into the roster, into the mix of things, and then qualifying with the team. We ended up qualifying at home. Went into a little bit of an off season for a few weeks, and then it was right back into preparation for the biggest year that we've all been looking forward to. So yeah, we entered into our Paris 2024 season with a 9th place standing in the world. I think we all just collectively knew that we were better than the result that was on paper. If we want to win in Paris, we have to win every day, basically. So we just had a complete standard shift. We were maybe coming in half hour earlier to do our passing. We were having real honest conversations with each other, being vulnerable with each other, saying, I need help with this. I need you to do this, and really growing our foundation and relationships with each other. Also, we had a lot of players coming back from injury. So that was myself, my teammate Charity Williams, Kiara Wardley, Taylor Perry as well. These are all people who were eventually named to the Olympic roster. But yeah, I'd say we entered into our season at 9th place, and then the first tournament of the season, we made it to our first bronze medal match. And we fell short, but then we were sitting at 4th. Eventually, a couple months later, we ended up beating Australia at home in a bronze medal match. So then that was our highest standing, was 3rd. And then later on that year, our roster was starting to gain a little bit more consistency, and we were playing some really great rugby, and our off-field was really reflective of that as well. We were so connected. I just felt like I was going to work every day with my best friends. Don't always see eye to eye, but the respect and the loyalty is always there, and willingness to work hard for each other was always there. And then right before the Paris Olympics in our last season, we ended up beating New Zealand, which we ended up seeing later on in the gold medal match. So yeah, it was just a matter of reshaping perspectives and approaches to the way that we trained, and really building really great foundational relationships as people together, and then just little by little trying to get the job done throughout the season. And we still went into Paris as the underdogs, and everyone's who knew it could happen? But we did, but we just had to work for it.
We so rarely hear about the journey. What after Paris?
After Paris, it's so cool. I just remember waking up the next day and realizing that I'm an Olympic medalist, and I will be an Olympic medalist for the rest of my life. That was the first thing. It was I felt like I had a really good dream, and then I woke up and I was oh my God, wait, that was real, and it came true. Yeah, just a dream come true. And all of our lives have kind of changed a bit. It's brought in a lot of opportunities, and it's been so great to see my teammates be able to take advantage of those opportunities as well, and raise their profile. And it's also put rugby in Canada on the map. It went from being a sport that you don't really, if you're walking past a pub or a bar, you're not going to see rugby playing, and now all of a sudden you might. And there's a lot of young people playing rugby, one of the fastest growing sports in the world. And in Canada, women's rugby is growing at a rate that we haven't seen it grow before. Women and girls, and people who participate in women and girls sports. So yeah, I'm so honored to have been a part of that. And I also just want to give a shout out to everyone who is involved with that process. There was 14 people in cleats in Paris, but we have a team of 23 rostered players, and then there's an extended team as well of training partners that helped us train to be able to get this result. So it really is, it's so much bigger than the medal. It's everyone that's contributed to it, and then also just again the after effects of seeing younger people younger than me when I started playing, picking up rugby balls and just being able to enjoy the sport.
I know that it has been a lot of ups and downs throughout all of it, yet you've always worn your number 24, and I know that there's some stories behind that. Why do you wear number 24? Talk to us about that.
I wore number 9 before I tore my ACL. In sevens, you could only choose a number from 1 to 12. And some people kind of had their number if they were always on the series. But then the people that were kind of in and out, they might get number 9, and then they'd get number 13, or they'd get, it wasn't as personalized to you. But the year I tore my ACL was the year that they introduced players on the 7 series could have numbers from 1 to 99. And we could all choose. But obviously I wasn't able to. But that was sort of an image that I kept in mind. After injuring myself, I wanted to wear the number 24, and I just always pictured having that number 24 jersey handed to me throughout my rehab, and it helped me get through a lot of tough moments. And I resonate with number 24 for a couple of different reasons. One being the 2024 Olympics. It's always been a goal of mine. I was turning 24 the year that I would have been receiving Miss Jersey. And Kobe Bryant is a huge inspiration of mine, number 24. And then my birthday is like April 20th. So there's like a 24 in there if you do 04. So yeah, it's coming up. So yeah, there's like just like a couple of different reasons, but like I've just always resonated with it. And yeah, it was a really big motivating factor for me throughout my ACL journey.
We see you rocking that jersey. Something else that we see you rocking is your glitter and sometimes your rhinestones. Tell us about that.
It's the rhinestone that got him on today. A huge part of playing rugby for me that I love is just the self-expression aspect of it. And I play on the wing, so we're the try scorers, the finishers, the people that what fast. So everyone in the middle of the field's working really hard, and then I get to do something pretty at the end and score a try. But yeah, I love the individuality that is that you can find in rugby. I love how my teammates are also able to embrace our individualities as well. And everyone kind of has something that like we want to lift them up for. So yeah, for me, it's just, I like wearing glitter. It's just kind of just about like expressing yourself on the field and like having a flair to how you play. And sometimes I wear mismatched cleats just because like, it's really just because, and like whatever makes you feel confident and lets you hold your chin a little bit higher when you're playing.
Have you ever gotten any
negative feedback from my glitter?
Yeah, or
no
your own style?
If not, what would I say to
people getting feedback that they just want to tune out? That's not helping them.
I'd say no, but I probably do somewhere in some sort of comment section. It's probably there, but that's the thing. Like, I don't know. And I kind of say that to say, like, for every 10 great comments, we might see the one negative one. And like, it's human nature to pay the most attention to those ones sometimes. But ultimately, like, when I go to rugby stadiums, I'll see young people wearing glitter, and in a way, like, they're inspired by that. And like, it's just knowing the things that you do and like being able to stand by them. And if you can see the positive difference that you're making in the world, in your community, at work, on your team, etc., then that will always outweigh anything or anybody who isn't with those notions.
Let's go. One thing that we like to ask all athletes is, what is the future that you want to see of women's sports?
I want to see women's sports being held to the same standard as men's sports and the same support. And when it is, it's not as much of like a foreign concept, and it's not something that we're all shocked by. It's something that's a standard and has potential to grow as well. Yeah.
We're so here for it, and everything we can do to support women's sports broadly and individual athletes who are actually putting in the work. We are so game for it. Before we started, you mentioned that you were kind of in a place where you had some more time. So what are you up to now, and what are your plans for the next bit of time?
I have primarily played sevens, and then after Paris, I went to playing 15s. And then after 15s, I went back into playing sevens. There's sevens rugby and there's 15s rugby. It's a 14-minute long game. So there's less people on the field, meaning there's a lot more space. So it's stepping, a lot of sprinting, and that's why the game is shortened to 14 minutes. 15s is there's 15 people on each team. So there's less space, more people. So that's where you get like a lot more like mashing and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, so grateful for all those opportunities, and I would not change the trajectory at all. I love playing rugby at the end of the day, and I'm so grateful. Canadian rugby is like really fluid like that. But at this time, I'm taking a break just from the next tournament that's going to be happening. But with that being said, I'm counseling. I'm able to do my counseling each and every week because I'm not touring and stuff like that. So just getting a few sessions under my belt consistently, that's a priority for me. I'm doing a little bit of coaching as well, just like younger age grade athletes, trying to grow my media presence and profile. I know that in doing that, then it helps my teammates, it helps my team, it helps put Canadian women's rugby on the map, Canadian rugby on the map in general. And sometimes like we try to do that as athletes and the players on my team as well, but it's tough when we're in season. So I'm just taking the opportunity to kind of grow that presence as well.
Last question that we like to ask to everyone is, what action do you want people to take after they hear your story? Whatever you want.
If you're someone who's thought about playing rugby, take this as a sign to go and sign up for your local club or something, or just watch a game. Rugby is a sport, like I said, it's one of the fastest growing sports in Canada and globally. Women's rugby is growing at incredible rates, but because of that, there's so many new people. So you're probably not going to be the only person who's new to rugby. If you're interested in playing rugby and you haven't played yet, go play or go watch a game. And if you are already quite a follower of rugby, watch my teammates play in Hong Kong and Singapore in the next couple of weeks and follow us along with our 7s and 15 season this summer.
We will be following and cheering for you all. Thanks for tuning into Flame Bearers Unedited. If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a positive review on your favorite podcasting platform or YouTube. If you want to see more behind the scenes coverage, follow us on social media. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, whatever platform you're on, we're there too. Thanks, and we'll catch you on our next episode.